What's up, guys, and welcome to Theory Thursday. Today I'm going to do a very quick lesson on how I usually use my ear to figure out songs. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to open up Epidemic Sounds so that they won't flag the video. And what that is it's this this website right here. You can become a member and then you get tons of access to music that people have been paid royalties for already, so you don't have to pay them. You can click backing tracks if you want. You can listen to something, and then here's how I do this. So if I'm transcribing a tune, say for an artist, and they just send me the song, or maybe it's a cover and they send me the cover that they want to cover. What I'll do is I'll listen to it and I'll kind of noodle around the first time, see if I can figure out what key it's in, and then from there I usually go with bass notes to try and figure out what chord structures they're built on. Just because you found the bass note doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to find the chord, because a lot of times they'll use like hybrid chords or upper structures, meaning they'll play something like this, and that comes out like a sus chord, but the root note is the two of the voicing. But it ends up coming out like, in this case, a B sus instead of a B natural, instead of a B major. And sometimes you'll hear that shift, right? It's fairly common. So you can't always depend on the bass note to give you the rest of the value of your chord or the remainder of your chord. But once you know the key that you're in, which is why I do that first, you should be able to kind of figure out, okay, well, that chord doesn't sound like it's that chord, but it's definitely that bass note. What upper structure in my key is it using? And I'll explain that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop on a random backing track. I've never heard it before. It may not work, and I might have to stop the video to find one that works better, but let's give it a shot. So this right here, just first backing track. How dare he have a guitar part? Ooh. All right, let me pause that. Okay, so just from listening that far, I can tell it's an E minor. They use melodic minor when they hit the 5 chord, so they raise that major third. Otherwise, that B minor chord would be a B minor chord instead of a B major chord. So you don't have to understand all of that technical jargon, but if you do, cool, props to you. So I figured out it's in the key of E. Now I'm going to follow the bass line, so I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to try and figure out the chord changes, right? So it's as simple as that. It's not hard work. I just, right? That's my scale. A harmonic minor, if you want to include the 5 chord, but, or melodic minor if you want to really outline that 5. Anyway, all the technical jargon aside, I figured out it's an E minor. That's the first major point of this exercise. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning of the track, listen to it again. All right, right there I just figured out one of my favorite progressions, the minor 1 going to a 6. Then down to a 4, and then back to a 5. That's the progression in the beginning, the first 13 seconds of the song. And I just figured that out by following the bass line. right? So far, nothing super complicated. Now I'm going to go back, or I'm going to continue, because I've already figured out by adding chords, I can just add the ones that are already in the key. Starts with a minor. The 6 is major. 4 is minor. And if you're having trouble hearing major and minor, just shift back and forth between major chords and minor chords and see if it sounds right or wrong. So if you're here and you're playing a major chord, that doesn't sound right. That sounds right. And then when you get to the 6th chord, if you play a minor chord, it's really bad. So just play major. Right? Same thing with 4. That one almost you could get away with, but once you play minor, you'll be like, no, that's the one. Right? So this is a quick way to kind of like determine what the chord values are and how to listen your way through a song. Moving on. It's also kind of fun. If you want to try to figure out like what the person just played, it's also a good practice to do that kind of thing, right? So that's the lick he just played. It's kind of cool. He outlines the 5 chord, even though the chord that he's playing it over is 1. But then he resolves to like the 1 chord as far as his phrasing goes. So anyway, that's kind of a cool trick. We can talk about that in another video. Now we're on the 6th chord. F minor, or sorry, A minor. It's a 4 minor. 5 major. Now it's doing a 6-5-1. Right, I figured that out because I could hear the bass. 6-5-1. Right? So this is, again, a real easy way to just kind of work your way through the song. Your ears will get better the more you do it, right? So in the beginning, you might not be able to just gravitate towards what note's what, but the more you practice it, the more your ears are just going to gravitate to it. That's how I was able to grab that lick without actually trying to figure out what it was. My ears just gravitated towards, oh, those are those notes. So anyway, that's your Theory Thursday. I don't want to take too much of your time, but try some of those techniques. Figure out the key, listen for the bass notes, and then try to apply major and minor chords on each of those bass notes and see if they work. If they don't, it's probably a hybrid voicing. This song didn't have any. But we can go over hybrid voicings in a different video. For the most part, you're almost always gonna, well, not almost always, you're 70% of the time gonna have just basic chords on top of bass notes. So you'll be able to hear what they are. Anyway, see you tomorrow for Functional Friday.